Gold has broken another record today, and this time it's a doozy. Over $3,000 for the metal, and silver has made its way well above $34 an ounce before being smacked down at least a bit today. And there is a war going on in the silver market, specifically with the PSLV position. Let's talk about it all in this video as we explore. There are several things trending over the X platform. You know, for me, because I'm interested in precious metals, I'm not sure if this is showing up for the general population or those on X, but I'm seeing COMEX, I'm seeing PSLV show up. But first, let's talk a little bit about gold. It has reached another record high today before being scaled back at least a bit, down $5.40 moments before the markets close to $2,984.20. It did get up as high as $3,004.90. Now, before I get too far into this, I want to remind you that the spot price I usually check at Kitco. Kitco is the best place for spot price because they use TradingView. Now, there's other sources of which Kitco you can actually go if you click down deep enough, you can see how they're measuring it. But what I like to do is I like to follow the actual spot price and not futures price, which is what most bullion dealers use to measure the price of gold and silver. I don't like that. I think it's dishonest reporting. Now, notwithstanding, there are times when you will see spot price listed and floating around from some dealers. There's only a few that actually use real spot price. Summit Metals, who is a sponsor of the channel, they use actual spot price. In fact, I'm looking at it right now, and they're showing a price slightly cheaper than what Kitco is showing by about 4 cents or 3 cents right now. But that's likely because of delayed reporting. But nonetheless, I think that is really what is needed in this market, is to use actual spot price when you price your metals from that. That's one of the reasons what attracted me to Summit Metals for them being a sponsor, for working with them. So what's happening here? Gold pulling back slightly today, but reaching that record high. And when we see gold get so high and continue to increase in price, we can celebrate, but we can also take a step back and realize, there's a lot of instability right now in the markets and in the world, geopolitically. And some of that instability is good in some regards, but in other aspects of it, it is very scary because things can go out of control. People may overplay their hands. And I'm not just talking about, where I view things politically and what have you, because anybody on both sides of the negotiating platforms can overplay their hands and cause bad things to happen. So we have to be careful. Sooner or later, and hopefully things will work themselves out. And gold is reacting to that uncertainty. And that's what it's there for. It's an insurance policy against that which is happening right now. Silver as well. Although to a lesser degree, it seems, because there's so many different things that are moving the silver market right now. And one of those is, all of the ETFs and all of the derivatives markets. There's upwards of anywhere between 380 to 400 of derivatives for every single physical ounce of silver. And to a lesser extent, that happens in the gold market too. But gold is being propped up largely right now by central banks continuing to accumulate and hold precious metals. They're adding it to it at a record pace, it seems, and they don't seem to be slowing down, at least by too much, at this point in time here in 2025. And so I think that is really what is holding up gold. Silver, on the other hand, is being pushed and pulled in a number of different directions. And right now, it is down slightly, but it is still very much in play and continuing to climb up in price. This is good. There's a lot of things that are good for silver moving ahead here. It's great in need of investors, according to one analyst. We need hedge funds, pension funds, and other institutional investors to get into the silver space. Silver structural deficit is projected to continue in 2025 and could pose challenges to the energy transition if the deficit continues. But what about these institutional investors? Well, there's a lot of folks, or there's a lot of entities, rather, that are shorting silver right now. And, and that is part of what people make that argument for price suppression, the big banks, the big bullion banks. Right now, in X, there's a big debate right now about the PSLV and what's going on, with accusations that it is being shorted through some other entity called the SLVR, not to be confused with the SLV, which is a competing ETF. So PSLV is Sprott's, and it's backed by, every ounce is backed by silver. It's at a 1-to-1 ratio trading, and you can take delivery if you buy enough of it. If you hold so many shares, you can take physical delivery. It is supposed to be represented by each single ounce of silver. Although, you know what the old adage is, if you don't hold it, you don't truly own it. But at least they back it up at a 1-to-1. But apparently there is some sort of association, as it has been accused over on the X platform, which has caused a big debate that is occurring there, that this offering through the SLVR, I guess, is in a sense shorting the PSLV shares, and who has added, according to one user, about 200,000 ounces in recent days. Even though that alone is not an incredible amount, the fact that they're adding more, there's more interest in silver, is rather exciting. And if these shorts fail, well, it could be game over for the COMEX and other places wherever some of this silver is stored. And that would be the ultimate silver squeeze if that were to occur, if these shorts were to fail. Now, obviously, you can see the motivation of folks that post over the X platform, and some of these folks have an interest in one or the other. One user actually owns a vaulting facility, so it's in direct competition to his vaulting facility. It's interesting. I know for me, myself, my motives, I'm pretty much put them all out on the table. Yes, I am now associated with a bullion dealer. But under the contract, under Summit Metals, I am not pressured in any way, shape, or form to get people to buy gold and silver at any given point in time. Essentially, it's just to get the word out there as another option, a realistic and good option, because they oftentimes have the lowest price for silver and gold. I can't tell you how many people have told me, I said, yeah, we got really good deals there. Others who have said, yeah, they're okay, but they're kind of in line with other dealers on certain products, and I understand that too. They're not always going to be the low price leader, but they're going to work very hard at being very competitive, not just in terms of price, but in service as well. And so with that being said, what's going on here with the motivations of what people say on other social media platforms? You have to look at the motive. And by the way, I'm no problem with people that question my motive. I try to be as transparent and also as unbiased as I possibly can. And opinions and new information comes in, I'm going to shift according to that new information. Where my bias does hold true is that I believe in both gold and silver as precious metals, as monetary metals over the long course of time to protect your wealth. That is really the bottom line for me. I believe in them so much that I hold them. So I do have a bias in that regard. And as to where the price is going to go, to me, that's almost secondary, because I measure my wealth in ounces and not necessarily what it's priced in dollars. We know that this is a losing proposition in the end. Eventually, it's going to go away at one time or another. It really does seem unsustainable with what they're doing right now, although Doge is trying to bring some balance to that and trying to nip away as best they can at deficit spending to maybe even get rid of the deficit and lower the debt. What deficit spending is, by the way, is essentially the amount of dollars that more than the amount that we have to be able to spend, and it causes the debt to grow. In other words, we don't have the money. Deficit spending means we don't have the money. It's like taking out a credit card That's a fancy way of doing it. Adding to your debt is what a deficit spending is. But I believe in gold and silver, they don't have any counterparty risk. The only risk they have is single party risk. And anytime you buy something in electronic form, you immediately create a counterparty risk. That includes, by the way, the PSLV. And even though they have all the silver there that is backed up by it, you've got to actually take delivery in order to really get the true benefit of holding the precious metal. And so otherwise, SLV and others that aren't backed at 1-to-1 are just exposure to silver's price. That's it. PSLV just takes it a step further. Same thing with the GLD and other forms of electronic forms of gold in the futures market. But so we'll see. Could this big short happening? There's some sort of interplay happening over on the in that space that is causing people to be concerned, because really everybody agrees there's shorting happening going on, and that is somewhat related to what's happening today, as people have been saying for quite some time. Fridays usually are when the smackdown occurs. The smackdown is not having as great of an effect today, considering what's been happening, the juggernaut of gold, especially and silver following, that we've seen over the past couple of days here. So it's a very interesting time, and I think that this Sunday night, when the Asian markets open, you're gonna want to be here on this channel, as it's the only one that does a market watch right when the Asian markets open at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So it'll be very interesting to see if we'll see a recovery from today's movement downwards, or if we'll see a continued smackdown in the Asian markets heading into next week. So I hope you will join me for that. With that being said, I also want to point you in the direction of the video that I posted this morning about why I'm still bullish on silver. Yes, indeed. So check that video out. I'm going to link to it right here at the end screen. $36 silver, why we may see it sooner than you think. So check that out. And with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.